I think the biggest unexplored benefit of cloud-native architectures like Kubernetes or platforms as a service like the Tanzu application service is the way that it allows enterprise architects to do their job even better. Enterprise architects are interested in establishing policy that makes sure that applications are consistent, secure, and scalable, that best practices are followed, not only to control costs, but that once you identify the best way of architecting and developing applications, you can ensure that all the developers working on it are following those practices to get maximum productivity. Now, sadly, I think that most enterprise architects haven't really had the way to implement that policy. Instead, they've had to spend a lot of time documenting and specifying, and then worst, policing after the fact, the applications that people do. But when you're using a cloud-native platform, as an enterprise architect, you can start to shift left, if you will, and even shift what you're doing. From the left side, you no longer have to police after the fact what developers are doing, because you can establish the standards of how containers are built and deployed. If you look at the accelerators that we have in the Tanzu application platform, you can even specify the template right down to the directory structure, the executables that people use, the entire base setup of a new application or service, so that developers don't have to figure that out and often get it wrong or subvert it on their own. You're really implementing what the baseline policy of a project looks like. As an enterprise architect, you can now think about how you're establishing the policy of which services should be used, which versions of frameworks are used, how things should be configured, the standard API practices for integrating with other things. And you can also start to talk with the operations people, the ones who run the software in production, about the requirements they have for how applications should not only be built, but how they should be packaged and configured. Now, normally dealing with all of that is very onerous and annoying for developers. It seems to just slow them down when what they want to focus on is the applications they're doing, features that they put in, moving pixels on the screen, as I like to think about. But what we've been exploring a lot in the Tanzu platform is how we can automate that policy for you. For example, if you look in the Tanzu application platform, we have this idea of accelerators, which really set up that base project, that template, how things are pre-configured and wired together, and even the starter executables that people use. It really allows you to specify a nice hunk of enterprise architecture that your developers can start using. Now, the advantage to them is that they don't have to spend a lot of time figuring that out, reading your internal wiki pages or whatever. You don't have to police them as much afterwards to see if they followed the practices. And you as an enterprise architect can even start to evolve and develop your enterprise architecture. You can start to think of your enterprise architecture as code rather than just boxes and arrows and policy and those really annoying policing meetings. So check out what we've got going on in the VMware Tanzu world. We're really doing a tremendous amount of work to make sure that you can have that enterprise architecture be as effective and seamless as possible, and a whole bunch of other buzzwords that basically amount to you can do your software much better in large organizations. Bye-bye.